हरे कृष्ण ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. So this is a very interesting section because it is also addressing the emotions and the dynamics between wife and husband. And at least theoretically, I can tell some things how things are happening here. And basically, this is very important. If we want to help anybody, we should have detachment. Then we can really help. And now, but here we see that Lord Shiva is very detached, but still he is not able to help his wife Sati. And to the extent that she also leaves her body. She could not save her body. So why he could not help? In spite of being Lord Shiva, we say that so many people they go to Shiva temple for seeking protection and help. And here we see that Shiva, his own wife, is not able to protect. This is very important to understand. Array, now many people are going Kumbh Mela. Besides that, there is Kashi, and there are also lakhs of people go and visit Lord Shiva and take his shelter and pray to him that please protect. And unfortunately, here we see Lord Shiva is not able to protect his wife also. So this is the point, and then how he can protect others? How can he protect? And why? And this is another important thing is the main problem. What happened there? And because when people, Lord Shiva was giving what Lord Shiva did not do, he gave proper knowledge. He was giving very logical and everything, and he is giving emotional support. And of course, he didn't had any finance to support, but then his Sati was not needing it. But what happens is people when they go into emotional state, they cannot discriminate even up to the level of Sati, who is the personification of material energy. That is what is emotional state. Actually, the more important thing when the Prabhuji was telling, na, Dhyayato Vishyan Pumsa, the most dangerous thing is Smriti Brahmsha. When we say, na, Ahara Shuddho Sattva Shuddhi, Sattva Shuddho Dhruva Smriti. Smriti, actually, the most important thing, that is memory. So when memory is lost, ध्यायतो विषयान पुंसा संगस्ते शुन्ना संजात काम क्रोध क्रोधाद्भुत सम्मोह स्मृति विभ्रम. Smriti Vibhramaha is actually we are forgetful of reality. And there also Ahara Shuddha Saddha Shuddha Dhruva Smriti. So this Smriti is very, very important. That is what is taught. And once you get into emotional state, we lose this discriminative memory is lost. And here for Sati also, she is so much emotionally affected. That's why uh, they go into extreme state when emotional people. And logic don't work in emotions. And Shiva was trying to give, and he's also trying to support her emotionally. But somehow it became too extreme. The investment, the investment was not sufficient. Her investment, emotional support she was taking from her mothers and sisters and other things was greater than what she was getting from Lord Shiva at that moment. Yeah, because she was affected by the circumstances also, we can say. And now another thing is always we should work on intentions rather than the external activities. That is also very important. Why? Because some people may say something, but it is an emotional state they speak. They don't mean it actually. That time they got emotionally affected, and that's what they speak. We cannot take it very seriously because naturally they feel something else. Like say now I go to my mother and I had some issue, and I say, "Arey, you hardly cook anything nicely." But that time I was upset. It's like one time my mother put potato in sambar, so I was so upset. I said, "You don't know any cooking only," and I was really. But I like some of her cookings, and she regularly makes and gives. But that time I was upset. So she will intention is like she understands. Okay, he's upset. Not that I all that she should now rest of her life she should take it that, oh, I don't know cooking. No, she will not take it. She say okay. So emotionally when we are there, then we become upset and we speak something. So we should not take it seriously. And same thing here. Sati also becomes upset with Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva did not take seriously. But sometimes where when it comes to Daksha, when he spoke wrong things, he was consciously doing it. That should be taken seriously. And then you will get punishment for it. No, Sati also speaks something on Lord Shiva, no. But she will not get reaction for it. But Daksha gets reaction because both states are different. That's the point. So here, even Lord Shiva cannot control when when people go into emotional state. So what to speak of people like us? That's why in the family, what is more important is, of course, many of them they do like this. They understand the intention and they go ahead. They tolerate. If we hold on to the words, that becomes very difficult. We'll not be able to handle the situations. If you just understand, okay, they are in emotional state, they may speak so many things, take it easy. And many of the men, they learn this in due course of time that we cannot take words something very seriously. And things go easy. So here, this material world, nothing is going to go very easy, even for Lord Shiva. What to speak of other? All demigods will have problems up to level of Lord Shiva. Brahma had problem. He went behind his daughter walk. Shiva had problem. He lost his wife. And Daksha had problem. He is one of the best persons in terms of all talents. Nobody in the world will match now with Daksha. He is the most smartest person. He is very expert in enjoying, and not only that, he is very much interested in sex life. That's why he's Daksha. He's a progenitor, means he's interested in sex life. He's able to create. That means he will be the best person if you count on the earth now. And same thing, every person had some problem or other. And even Devahuti says, "Oh, I am also suffering." She tells to Kapila Deva. That means we should know the reality of this material world. So there are many lessons we can learn, some things like this. And even such a big family, top-notch people, all Brahma, Daksha, Shiva, Sati, still there are problems. So don't expect anything good. And if something is good, but it is only for time being. That is the reality. Only thing is there is a gap between two sufferings. We consider it, oh, how is everything? Yeah, yeah, fine. That means you don't have suffering now. So it's a gap between two sufferings only. That's the enjoyment we can get best. So here we see that the problem starts when Sati becomes very emotionally, she is affected by the circumstances. Normally, she is okay. She is staying for quite a long time with her husband and he's taking care of her nicely and everything going on well. But one fine day, as every time it happens, that Daksha began a sacrifice named Vajpaya, and he became excessively confident of his support by Lord Brahma because he is doing these sacrifices are meant for the welfare of society. Even if there is some differences in opinion here there, because it is ultimately going to benefit, and it happens also because Lord Vishnu comes in the end of the sacrifice and is very pleased. If you are not offending, you Lord will definitely come. So we hear this very famous story from Mahabharata. What happens is Rajasuya sacrifice was performed by Yudhishthir Maharaj. And every day after the end of the yajna, Bhishma and Drona are meant to oversee that everything is going on nicely and everybody takes their department. Karna for charity, Duryodhana for collecting gifts, Krishna for receiving the guests and washing their feet, Draupadi for cooking, no, Draupadi for serving, Bhima for cooking and all these things. Now, if all the rituals are nicely performed and everybody is properly honored, at the end of the day, it goes for few days. At the end of the day, there is a big bell that rings. On its own, it will ring. Prove it is establishing that everything went fine. There is no mistakes. Everything is fine. Like that, one day the bell does not ring, and everybody was like surprised. What happened? There is some mistake, and then everything is verified, and then they understand some mistake must be from Draupadi only. She is in the serving department, and everybody looks at her and she says, no, I didn't do anything. Actually, what happens is, when Brahmana was uh, he was then they call Krishna, and then they say, what happened, the bell did not ring. Krishna says, actually there is very humble Brahmana, he was not invited because nobody knows where he is, and he is just humble, so he was somewhere far, so nobody could pay attention. Krishna says you should invite him and serve him. Then they somehow found him, brought him, and Draupadi again made all the cooking. She did cooking for all the things, and then they served him. And what he did, he mixed all the items. They might have made 30, 40 items. Instead of tasting one separately, mixed everything. He's very detached person. He didn't had any problem. He just ate it. And Draupadi felt little uncomfortable. She said, "What is this? Arey, I made 20 varieties and he's just mixing everything. What is this?" And then after he ate and everybody was looking at the bell, it did not ring. Then everybody looked at Draupadi. She said, I just thought, what is this person eating? Because he's supposed to eat everything separately, just mixed it. So I didn't feel he knows any taste or anything. I just thought something bad about that person. Then say, oh, that's an offense. So what to do? Bring him again and feed him, Krishna says. Then they go to him and say, no, no, you should come again and eat. He said, no, I just ate. No, no, fear, please come again. So they again bring him. Again Draupadi cooks, but this time they told her, you keep distance and don't come here. And he is fed, and after that, uh, the bell rings. Now, the very important lesson here is, unless everybody is completely satisfied, the Lord is not satisfied. That is the first lesson. So similarly, for us also, every day I am chanting. So chanting is also sacrifice only. Like what Daksha is doing here, sacrifice. That is also sacrifice only. Every day we are doing. But our sacrifice is not complete, or it will not give the complete result. Our Lord will not be pleased with our sacrifice if we are offending somebody. Even one person is offended. That's why every day morning we do this Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya, because we don't want anybody to be offended by us. Whole day, like one devotee asked me, Freshly Prabhuji, like I am chanting, and so many nonsense thoughts, ideas, and whatever they are coming in my mind. And I'm chanting, but my mind is going on with my own things because I work and business, this, that. Now, should I stop chanting? Or because anytime I sit for chanting, I get my thoughts about my business here, there. So should I stop chanting unless my mind is controlled, or I should continue chanting in that situation? This is the question. Like say I'm chanting and I'm getting so many thoughts. And anytime I sit whole day, I get these thoughts only. So should I chant or not? So any of you want to give any suggestion for this devotee from your side? What he should do? What is your suggestion? I am sitting and I am getting so many thoughts. Should I chant or not? Should I just, because anytime I sit, so what should I do? Any suggestions from your side? What do you say if somebody asks you this question? No suggestions. Nobody want to give any answer to this devotee. Bring the mind back. I'm not able to bring. I get all thoughts only. I'm sitting and I'm getting thoughts. Should I chant or not? It's an offensive chanting. Okay, chant. Any other chant in association? Oh, okay. Rasayan Kutapuru has very good answer. Yes. Any other suggestions? Yeah, pray. Okay, good. Any other? Yeah, so this is one important thing now. Chanting is not just the 2 hours activity. If my mind is getting disturbed because when I am sitting for chanting, it means that other 22 hours in the day we are doing activities not very consciously. So that is the main reason. If we do our activities proper consciously, then when we sit for chanting, then we will not have problem. So it's not that he's having problem that time. The problem is whole day. Whole day we need to become Krishna conscious. We need to develop consciousness to become closer to Krishna or some things, and we should not find faults, and we should not have pride, ego. These so many things are there. We should not grossly manifest them. And slowly, slowly, when we do it, then our quality of chanting will improve. Even though we continue chanting and in the association of chanting we pray, still when we are, this is there when you go to dham and then you sit and chant and practice for some days. But most important thing is whole day how I am doing my activities. A desire in a enjoying mentality, then so much sense gratification, then definitely it will have an effect. So we should be very careful with this aspect. That it's chanting is not just the 2 hours; it's a whole day process. The 22 hours is the preparation for the 2 hours of chanting. If we are conscious about it, how I am dealing with people, how I am dealing with things, how I am dealing with my desire to enjoy, everywhere we have to work slowly, 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 and then that part of our chanting will definitely have a change. And yeah, he can continue chanting, but he should also work on other aspects. Otherwise, he will never get a solution for this 2 hours of his chanting if he is not working the remaining 22 hours. So we were discussing now that bhakti is of 24 hours. It's a bhakti is 24 hours practice. It's not just a few hours in a day. The whole day makes, then only we will be able to perform bhakti. Whole day we should be conscious of what we are doing. So that is the point. So here, when sacrifice we are doing, if we are displeasing somebody, then Krishna is displeased because he is there in the Paramatma of all living entities. So if we are trying to insult or trying to harm or consciously we are doing something, sometimes it happens by unknowingly, that's okay. Consciously we are doing, that's a problem. We can, if we need to punish or somebody, Arjuna is not only punishing, he is killing people. But he is conscious of Krishna and doing. He has love for all living entities. Then that's not a problem. So here, the sacrifice is performed by uh, Daksha, but he is, of course, here he did not directly offend Lord Shiva till now. That's why Lord is okay. Later on, Daksha asks forgiveness from Lord Shiva, then Lord appears. Otherwise, generally, some sort of envy, hatred is there. That's why people cannot understand Krishna. See, even Brahma and Indra could not understand who is Krishna. He was confused when he went to Vrindavan. Why Indra got confused when he went to Vrindavan? Because he is not able to, we cannot see Lord when we are having eyes tainted with lust, greed, pride, and all. Only Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. That is the point. We will not be able to see the Lord. So here, Daksha could not understand the Lord until he asked forgiveness from Lord Shiva. Even though Lord may appear, formalities are there, but reality he cannot understand him. So here he is performing many big sacrifices because he is doing some welfare activities as a protocol. Everybody is coming there, and Brahma is happy. At least he is doing something for the welfare, and because he's assisting him and he's assisting the Supreme Lord also in progeny. This, because he's giving opportunity for living entity to come into this material world. That's a great service. And he is doing in it a proper way, not just some Varnashankaras are produced by Daksha. Daksha is not producing Varnashankara, he's creating qualities of the material world. This is such a great person. While the sacrifice was being performed, many Brahma Rishis, great sages, ancestral demigods, other demigods, their wives, all very nicely decorated with ornaments attended from different parts of the universe. The chaste lady Sati, the daughter of Daksha, heard the heavenly denizens flying in the sky, conversing about the great sacrifice being performed by her father. When she saw that from all directions the beautiful wives of heavenly denizens, their eyes very beautifully glittering, were near her residence and going to the sacrifice dressed in fine clothing and ornaments with earrings and necklaces and lockets, she approached her husband, the master of the Bhutas, in great anxiety and spoke as follows. So she got affected by the circumstances. This is another very important thing. Sometimes the desire not are not ours. The circumstances creates the desire for us, and we get carried away by it. We will think, oh, really, I need it. No, Sati was not needing all these things. If she want to meet her sister, she could have gone separately to meet her sisters. That time she didn't feel the need. But when she saw this circumstance environment, this is how the advertisement industry is created. Whole, you go to a supermarket, big bazaar and D-Mart and so many other. Of course, now there is no big, there is smart bazaars or whatever. Now, when we go there, they create the environment and you feel that you need it. And then we get succumb. And if you go for purchasing one item, you end up in purchasing 10 items. And but if you go to some general store where you are having one single person standing there and you cannot go much inside, he will only get you the things, then you'll just get one thing and come out. But if you go to supermarket, so this is actually how the environment, we get succumbed to the environment, we get affected by it. You should be very conscious. Like I went to purchase ragi, I went to D-Mart. And then I just purchased and came out, and everybody was looking at me little weird. Say, how can he purchase only one item and go? And everybody was filling their baskets, this item, that item. I was having a class actually. I was just having 10 minutes. So that was the protection for me. I had to come out of DMart in 10 minutes. So I could, otherwise, maybe I would have got affected by the so many items there. Definitely, I would have purchased more items, but because I was having 10 minutes, I just came, purchased ragi and came. So the point is, and that also, there is also a trick there. Some items, they tell you only fill how much you want. So that is also another very dangerous techniques they use. Now, when you are filling, you may think maybe I need more, and you only pack your items. So anyway, so we are getting affected by circumstance. That's what I am trying to tell. That so many things that we don't need, all the advertisements and all these things. What happens is when we purchase, then we end up in paying more, and then we have to earn more, and we have to work more and waste our valuable time in doing all these things which are not needed. And all these uh, all these so many luxurious goods are there. Previously in villages, people had simple houses. Now also they have simple facilities, and we are actually, our mind can adjust with simple facilities also. And now mind don't adjust. It want wardrobes and the furniture and this that of very high qualities. we it is just meant for sitting, right? We can have some simple thing also, but somehow our mind got programmed because of circumstances. We end up in spending more money for unnecessary things. And yeah, sometimes we go to some houses when we feel, my God, why did you spend so much money for this? But there is, anyway, if they have money, they're spending. But problem is they're wasting time for all these things. That's the point. So now Sati, she goes, she said, my dear Shiva, Lord Shiva, your father-in-law, no, she's the way you address is also different. Is now executing great sacrifice, and all demigods having been invited by him are going there. If you desire, we may also go. And initially, she presented in a very soft way. Your father-in-law is doing. Can we go? Then she gives her own reasons. First, she saying, I think all my sisters might have gone there to this great sacrificial ceremony with their husband just to see their relatives. I also desired to decorate myself with ornaments. Now she want to go. Then she saw all the ornaments others are wearing. She also got the desire. Maybe I should also wear all my ornaments, not given by you, but my father, and go there with you to participate in that assembly. And she says, my sisters, my mother's sisters, and their husbands and other affectionate relatives must be assembled there. So if I go, I shall be able to see them. I shall be able to see the flapping flags and the performance of sacrifice by great sages. For these reasons, my dear husband, I am very much anxious to go. So she is very, and this is actually common and this is correct also. Sati is not at all wrong in this. All these things, what she is telling, what she is going to give is all right only. And everybody is right. Where problem comes, we'll discuss. This manifested cosmic is a wonderful creation of the interaction of three modes of mental nature. Sthiti pralaya sadhana shaktireka chayeva yasya bhuvanani bhivarti durga. All the material energy of the Supreme Lord, this truth is fully known to. Yet I am but a poor woman, and as you know, I am conversant with the truth. Therefore, I am not conversant. Sorry, I am not conversant with. Therefore, I wish to see my birthplace once more. Now, here another important thing is what happens is that the whole creation, it's just a combination of three modes. Very, very important thing. It's just a mixture of three modes. This is why this is the meditation of jnanis. They just see everything in three modes. This is passion, this is goodness. They all try to discriminate all the time and try to get out of it. Our path is not that. No need to meditate on that. But this is for normal people. And Sati is telling, even though it is three modes, I am not, I am just affected by it. Oh, never born. Oh, blue throat one. Not only my relatives, but also other women dressed in nice clothes and decorated with ornaments are going with their husbands and friends. Just see how their flocks of white aeroplanes have made the entire sky very beautiful. So now she is showing to Lord Shiva also. She's telling you also see and you also get affected by it. And then she says, oh, best of the demigods, how can the body of a daughter remain undisturbed when she hears that some festive event is taking place in her husband's house? Even though you may be considering that I have not been invited, there is no harm if one goes to the house of one's father, husband, spiritual master, or father, with one's friend and father without invitation. And she's having all the proper reasons and she's correct also in everything. Only problem is with Daksha. So Shiva gives the reasons. He is not contradicting what Sati is saying because what she's saying is right only. And he says, तन्मे प्रसीदेदममृत्यवच्युतं क्रतुं भवान् कारुणिको बतार्हति तयात्मनो हृदेऽहम् तब्रचक्षुषा निरूपितामानुगृहान याचितः. O immortal Shiva, please be kind towards me and fulfill my desires. You have accepted me as half of your body. Therefore, please show kindness towards me and accept my request. So it is half of me is actually is accepting herself on her own. That is like almost considering half. You are mine. There is no difference. Whatever you are, I am that. It's like it's expression of their love. That is my interpretation. And here Prabhupada did not write any purport, so I just gave my purport. So now the great sage Maitreya said, Lord Shiva, the deliverer of the king hill Kailasha, having thus been addressed by his dear wife, replied smilingly, although at the same time he remembered the malicious, heart piercing speeches delivered by Daksha before the guardians of the universal affairs. Prabhupada is writing, when Lord Shiva heard from his wife about Daksha, the psychological effect was that he immediately remembered the strong words spoken against him in the assembly of the guardians of the universe, and remembering those words, he was sorry at heart, although to please his wife he smiled. Now it is interesting, Prabhupada is writing the same question. In Bhagavad Gita, it said that a liberated person is always in a mental equilibrium in both the distress and happiness of this material world. Therefore, the question may be raised why a liberated personality like Lord Shiva was so unhappy because of the words of Daksha. The answer is given by Shri Vishnu Chakra Thakur. Lord Shiva is Atma Rama, or situated in complete self realization. But because he is the incarnation in charge of modes of material nature, modes of ignorance, tamoguna, he is sometimes affected by the pleasure and pain of this material world. The difference between the pleasure and pain of this material world and that of the spiritual world is that in the spiritual world the effect is qualitatively absolute. Therefore, one may feel sorry in the absolute world, but the manifestation of so-called pain is always full of bliss. For instance, once Lord Krishna in his childhood was chastised by Mother Yashoda, and Lord Krishna cried. But although he shed tears from his eyes, he is not to be considered reaction of mode of ignorance, for the incident was full of transcendental pleasure. When Krishna was playing in so many ways, sometimes it appears that he causes distress to the gopis, but actually such dealings are full of transcendental bliss. So that is the difference between the material and spiritual world. The spiritual world, where everything is pure, is pervertedly reflected in the material world. Since everything is the spiritual world is absolute, in the spiritual varieties of apparent pleasure and pain, there is no perception other than eternal bliss. Whereas in material world, because everything is contaminated by modes of mental nature, there are feelings of pleasure and pain. Therefore, Lord Shiva, although a fully self-realized person, was in charge of mental modes of ignorance, he felt sorry. This is actually important thing to understand here is that here what is pleasure we should understand in material world, and the real pleasure comes only in mode of goodness. When passion is also not pleasure, the that is just some surge of dopamine which scientists understood. And adhyantavantu kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha, because a intelligent person don't enjoy in such pleasures. Parties, social gatherings, and gold, nice ornaments, and nice food, nice gifts. These are all pleasures which are very temporary, and it gives so much pain also. Adyanta vantu kaunte. Anything that is temporary does not make us really happy. So Adyantavantu means that is coming and going. So it is beginning and end. That's actually Adyantavan. Adi means beginning, Antavan end. If any pleasure has beginning and end, it is not actually pleasure. It's just some effect of mode of passion. That's all. Real pleasure should be always continuous. That is how we should try to get pleasure. So we're discussing like say in the morning time when we go for morning walk, say at 4 o'clock, 4:30, if some people are going, they feel some sort of happiness and pleasure. Now, what is that? You are not eating, you are not sleeping, you are not watching TV. How can you experience pleasure? Because when we go in the morning for a walk, the mind becomes very calm. And that's why people experience some sort of pleasure in that. Because calmness of mind is pleasure in goodness. That type of pleasure we should try to aspire for. And pleasure in mode of passion is agitation. Say now cricket match is going on between India and Pakistan. As soon as when the match starts, mind goes in a zone of stress, so much anxious. And when the result comes, and if it is in favor of India, then the stress immediately reduces. And that relief of stress, the mind went into a very stressful state, and when we relieve it from that, we consider it as pleasure. So that is pleasure in mode of passion, and another pleasure is when mind is completely calm, it is pleasure in goodness. But these are all material only. Spiritual pleasure comes with chit potency, which Krishna is experiencing, where a person is when it comes to Brahman pleasure, it is when the self is just connected to its own self, then he experiences such a great pleasure of Brahman. And when the soul gets connected to Krishna, starts serving, then experiences love, the original love, that is completely different. So that's the main understanding we should have. So here, spiritual world pleasure is completely different compared to what is in material world. So Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Tayoditam Shobhanameva Shobhane अनाहुताप्य अभ्यन्ति दुषु ते यत् अनुतपादितदोषदृष्टयो बलीयसानात्मयमधेन मन्युना. The great Lord replied, "My dear beautiful wife, you have said that one may go to friend's house without being invited, and that is true." So Lord Shiva is agreeing actually. And Mother Sati, what she is telling is correct also. Then Lord Shiva gives his condition. He adds, but provided such a friend does not find fault with the guest because of bodily identification and thereby become angry towards him. So then he add the clauses. What you said is correct, but you are telling only some part. You are not completing the sentence. This is also one more trick everybody uses. If they want to get things done, they will only tell some things which they quote from the scriptures also. It is said that even the devil quotes the scriptures. That means what? You know where to take what from. Even I can tell. Like one mullah, he meets one boy and he says that, my dear son, why are you wasting your life in drinking, eating, and making merry? You will go to hell. He said that, but in Bible it is, in Quran it is said that no, eat, drink, and be merry. That is written there. Then the mullah says, "Arey, son, that is the first line, but the second line says that you will go to hell." Then he says, "My dear mullah, see, I cannot follow everything in the book. I'll follow something and some. So I'll follow the first line and somebody else will follow the second line." So this is how people quote the scriptures. So Stati is telling, "Oh, you can go to friend's house." Lord Shiva is telling, "Yes, yes, we can go. But provided they do not find faults with the guest based on what? Bodily identification." And this is actually what happens. And I have some practical experience also. We used to go to some uh, friend's house in the college time, and but for no reason, that person very badly insulted, and I was not there. I Fortunately I joined ashram, and he insulted my brother. He said, get out of the house. Of course, later on they settled it. But it happens. Sometimes you have to hear some things very painful in life. I was thinking, how did my brother face that situation? Somebody is telling, get out of my house. So even now I remember it's like maybe 20 years back. But still it is very affecting. The words are very piercing, and that's what Lord Shiva is showing here. Of course, Lord Shiva is not affected, but still he sometimes shows that this is what is Chaya, the shadow of how he is affected by it. Is such he is not affected. So here we see that he is remembering them, and next thing is he's telling, oh, see, and he is giving the same reason. Array, this person speaks bad. He's on the bodily concept of life. And somebody who's in the bodily concept of life definitely will find faults in other people. That's why the principle of respect is very important. Array, I may have bodily defects you may see in every person, but you should also know there is Paramatma in the heart of all living entities. So that's the reason we need to respect every living entity. Mm. Seeing the Paramatma in the hand, that is very safe for us. And then Lord Shiva says, Lord Shiva could foresee that as soon as Sati reaches her father's house, her father Daksha, being too puffed up because of bodily identification, would be angry at her presence. And although she was innocent and faultless, he would be mercilessly angry towards her. Lord Shiva warned that since her father was too puffed up by his material possessions, he would be angry, and this would be intolerable for her. Therefore, it was better that she not go. This fact was already experienced by Lord Shiva because although Lord Shiva was faultless, Daksha could curse him in such so many harsh words. Now, it's not that Lord Shiva is neglecting Daksha. We say, oh, nothing to do with us. Let him do whatever he wants. We'll stay at our house. It's this is also actually one type of fault, what do you say, hostility on our part, and it will affect our sadhana. If I, even if I neglect anybody. So, Lord Shiva is not neglecting Daksha. Very important thing is because Lord Shiva loves Krishna, he is loving all living entities and even Daksha. So Lord Shiva has love for all living entities. He is having because he is in love with Krishna. So that's how it happens. So here, when Shiva is telling keep distance from him, it is not neglecting him. It is showing compassion only, but in a different way. This is how Lord Shiva is behaving. And that's why prema maitri kripa apeksha ih karoti samadhi. Apeksha is when when a madhyamadikari is showing apeksha, it is possible for him to show proper apeksha only when he has love for Krishna. So not that only one thing I will follow. All the four things goes parallelly. Prema, Maitri, Kripa and Apeksha. All four are parallel. So if we have Prema only, then only we can show Kripa. Then only we can show Maitri. And then only we can show Apeksha. Otherwise our Apeksha, our Kripa, our other Prema, our Maitri, Kripa and Apeksha, all three will be fault if we don't have proper love. So that's why at present, if we are not having love, at least we will try to be as much as possible. And that's the reason we commit offenses because we cannot do all these things properly, especially the fourth one, Apeksha. We just say, oh, I don't care about this person. If you don't care, then will have effect. And here, Daksha, he is going to behave like this. So Lord Shiva is not neglecting Daksha. He's keeping distance out of love for Daksha. Like that. Next sloka says, Vidhyatapo vetti vapurvedah kulai satam gunai sadbir asattametrapai smrito hatayam vritamana dudrusha तब्भान पश्यन्ति हि धाम भूषया. Although the six qualities education, austerity, beauty, wealth, beauty, youth, and heritage are for the highly elevated. One who is proud of possessing them becomes blind, and thus he loses his good sense and cannot appreciate the glories of great personalities. And now these things are given, and heritage are for the highly elevated one who is this is given to highly elevated people. That means they have done something good to acquire it. But the problem in this material world is once you get, like no people sometimes they come to ask blessings or anything from the Lord or some Swamijis. They cannot from the heart ask that. They don't really feel any kind of blessings and all these are needed because they are already having everything. They are proud. They don't get it. And thus he loses his good sense and cannot appreciate the glories of personality God. So for them to become devotees is sometimes tough. It may be argued that since Daksha was very learned, wealthy, and austere, and and had descended from a very exalted heritage, how could he be unnecessarily angry towards another? Prabhupada is writing, the answer is that when the qualities of good education, good parentage, beauty, and sufficient wealth are misplaced in a person who is puffed up by all these positions, they produce a very bad result. And this is actually what happens. Janma Ishwarya Sutasibhi Yedam Anamadapuma. So it enters to the head. We start feeling, oh, maybe I'm something very special. So then what happens? Milk is very nice food, but when milk is touched by an envious serpent, it becomes poisonous. Similarly, material assets such as education, wealth, beauty, and good parentage are undoubtedly nice. But when they decorate persons of malicious nature, then they act adversely. Another example given by Chanakya Pandit is that a serpent that has a jewel on its head is still fearful because it is a serpent. A serpent by nature is envious of other living entities, even though they are faultless. When a person bites another creature, it is not necessarily because the other creature is faultless. With the habit of serpent to bite innocent creatures. Similarly, although Daksha was qualified by many material assets because of he was proud of his possessions and because he was envious, all these qualities were polluted. It is therefore sometimes detrimental for a person advancing in spiritual consciousness or Krishna conscious to possess such material assets. So this is detrimental actually sometimes and actually most of the times. Material possessions, we cannot surrender. Everything is there. What is there for me to take and do with God? I have everything. So Kunti Devi, while offering prayers to Krishna, addressed him as Akinchana Gochara. One who is easily approached by those who are bereft of all material acquisition. Exhaustion is an advantage for advancement in Krishna consciousness. So this is the advantage only. Although, if one is serious of his eternal relation to Supreme Lord, one can utilize one's material assets such as great learning and beauty and exalted ancestry for the service of Lord. Then such assets becomes glorious. In other words, unless one is Krishna conscious, all his material positions are zero. But when this zero is by the side of Supreme One, it at once increases its value to 10. Unless situated by the side of the Supreme One, zero is always zero. One may be added 100, one may add 100 zeros, but the value still remains zeros. Unless one's material assets are used in Krishna consciousness, they may play havoc and degrade the possessor. Okay. We'll take one more verse. One should not go to anyone's house even on the consideration of his being a relative or friend. When the man is disturbed in his mind and looks upon the guest with raised eyes and raised eyebrows and angry eyes. However low a person may be, he is never unkind to his children, wife, and nearest kin. Even a tiger is kind to its cubs, for within animal kingdom the cubs are treated very nicely. Since Sati was the daughter of Daksha, however cruel and contaminated he may be, naturally it was expected that he would receive her very nicely. But here it is indicated by the word anavastitaha, that such a person cannot be trusted. Tigers are very kind to their cubs, but it is also known that sometimes they eat them. Malicious persons should not be trusted before because they are always unsteady. Thus, Sati was advised not to go to her father's house because he cannot, uh, because to accept such a father as a relative and to go to his house without being properly invited or was not suitable. Okay, thank you all very much. Any questions, comments? We'll end here. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam